Right now, you are giving Starbucks an interest-free loan, and you probably don't even know it. There is currently $1.85 billion sitting unspent on Starbucks cards and in the Starbucks app worldwide. Starbucks pays you zero interest on any of it, and over $200 million of that money disappears every single year, not stolen, not lost, legally converted into pure company profit the moment you forget to spend it. Here's how a coffee company built one of the most quietly profitable banks in the world. Starbucks started in 1971 in Seattle, opened by three friends, Jerry Baldwin, Zev Siegel, and Gordon Bowker, who weren't even trying to sell coffee by the cup. Their original store just sold roasted coffee beans and equipment styled after Italian coffee houses none of them had actually built yet. The person who changed everything wasn't one of the founders. It was a salesman named Howard Schultz, who joined in 1982 and became obsessed with something he'd experienced on a trip to Milan. The idea of a coffee house as a place. People lingered, not just a shop they passed through. The original owners weren't interested. So Schultz left, started his own coffee house chain to prove the concept, and in 1987 used investor money to buy Starbucks outright and merge it with his own stores. That decision, turning a bean shop into a third place between home and work, is the version of Starbucks you actually grew up with. Here's where it gets interesting, and where most people's understanding of Starbucks stops being accurate. By the 2000s, Schultz's team noticed something in the data. Customers who preloaded money onto a Starbucks card, instead of paying cash or card each time, visited more often and spent more per visit. So Starbucks didn't just offer gift cards as a nice option. They built their entire loyalty program around forcing you through stored balance. Starbucks rewards points, called stars, only accumulate at full value when you pay using money already loaded onto the app or a registered card. That single design choice is why, today, thousands of dollars flow onto Starbucks balances every single minute worldwide before a single drop of coffee is poured. So what actually happens to that money once it's sitting on your app? Legally, until you spend it, that balance isn't Starbucks money. It's recorded as a liability, essentially an IOU to you. But here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Starbucks doesn't pay you a cent of interest on it, while they get to use that cash to fund operations, investments, and growth in the meantime. You have handed a multi-billion-dollar company an interest-free loan just by preloading $20 so you can skip the register line. And then there's the part where you never come back for it at all. Every year, a predictable percentage of loaded balances simply never gets redeemed. Lost cards, forgotten app balances, gift cards stuffed in a drawer. Accountants call this breakage. By 2025, Starbucks was holding around $1.85 billion in stored customer value. And in a single recent year, the company recognized over $207 million in pure breakage revenue, money that started as a liability on their books and legally became straight profit once enough time passed without you spending it. Put simply, if you've ever loaded $5 onto a Starbucks card for a small drink and never quite used the last 79 cents, congratulations, you personally helped fund that $200 million number. This isn't a small accounting footnote. It's a deliberate business strategy that most customers have never once thought about while standing in line. Unused funds make up roughly 10% of everything sitting in the bank of Starbucks at any given time. And that entire 10% still counts as company revenue, even though not a single espresso shot was pulled to earn it. And because so many of us round up when reloading, putting $20 on the app instead of the $18.50 we actually needed, even the small leftover cents on active accounts quietly become additional revenue for Starbucks for nothing in return. Multiply that across tens of millions of active rewards members worldwide, and you start to understand why Starbucks pushes gift cards so aggressively at the register every single holiday season. It was never really about convenience. It's one of the most efficient customer-funded financing systems in modern retail. Coffee itself hasn't been the smoothest business lately, though. Starbucks went through a genuinely rough stretch. Same-store sales cratered across fiscal 2024 and 2025 as customers pulled back and the brand lost some of its third-place magic. Enter Brian Niccol, who took over as CEO after building a reputation turning around Chipotle. During his 6 years there, Chipotle's stock returned more than 770%, annual revenue more than doubled, and restaurant margins climbed from around 19% to nearly 29%. And Wall Street brought him to Starbucks, specifically hoping to repeat that. So far, it's working. In the most recent quarter, Starbucks posted same-store sales growth of 7.9%, blowing past Wall Street's expectations with revenue of $9.32 billion. Its fourth straight quarter of positive same-store sales after a painful 7-quarter losing streak before Niccol arrived. Niccol's strategy has leaned hard into rebuilding the actual in-store coffeehouse experience. Slower, more human service, less drive-through assembly line, betting that people will pay for the third place feeling again, not just the caffeine. Which brings the whole story back around to something almost poetic. Starbucks' entire modern turnaround is being funded, in part, by loyalty and stored balances built off the same Bank of Starbucks system Howard Schultz's team engineered decades ago. Money quietly collected in the background, while the company works to win back the coffeehouse magic that made people love it in the first place. It's a company that makes its money two ways at once, one cup at a time in plain sight, and a few cents and dollars at a time, almost invisibly from millions of us who never quite spend that last bit of balance. Next time you tap Reload on the app, you're not just buying your next coffee. You're making a small interest-free loan to one of the most successful turnaround stories in retail history. If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe to Decoded.Brands, because every week we uncover the untold stories behind the companies that built the world we live in. Which brand should we decode next? Drop it in the comments.